Right, so we are covering janeandfinch.com, covering the 2010 elections here in the Jane and Finch Ward 8 community, and I'm with Naseeb Husain. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good,
Great.
Wonderful. So let our viewers know a little bit about maybe your schooling background and why you're interested in politics.
Okay, well, I grew up in this area, so I've been to school in pretty much all of the local schools, Shoreham Public School, Brookview Middle School, and then C.W. Jeffries. After that, I pursued my post-secondary career at University of Toronto, where I studied equity studies.
Okay.
That's basically the study of disadvantaged communities. And then after that, I graduated with a minor in political science as well.
Okay. So how has your schooling informed you to be here today and running in this upcoming elections?
Well, what really drew me to politics back again after school was when I found out about the school closures and that two of the schools that I went to, Shoreham and Brookview, were scheduled to be to be closed. One of the schools, and mainly Shoreham, and that really struck a chord with me, and it got me back interested. That's when I started researching and finding out what I could do for the community, and then the opportunity came up to run for council, and I thought, this is best suited to my abilities right now, so I decided to run.
All right. So while you're out there making the connections with the community, what's your sense? How do you feel the community's receiving you?
Actually, it's really surprising that I'm getting a very positive response from most of the communities. They're not used to seeing such a young member of the community actually trying to take a stand and going up against the long-running politicians in the area, and they're very supportive. They tell me, if nothing happens now, don't give up, just keep on going, and that's one of the main messages there. They believe that I can make a difference. And even if I don't make a difference now, I should just keep on going and keep on going.
All right. So that's good to hear that you're in it for the long run.
Because I've been here for pretty much all my life, and I continue to live here, and I don't plan on moving out anytime soon. So, helping the community is really also helping me.
Okay. Wonderful. Now, are there any initiatives that you're a part of that's going to support or inform what you're doing in this upcoming elections?
Well, you know what? I've been a part of a few little communities, and one of the main ones was the Humber River Health Coalition.
Okay.
Because I found out about the closing of the hospital and what's being done. So I joined that committee, and in the last few months I've been going to them and finding out what it is, what's being done, and there's a lot of misinformation out there that you can save the hospital when the decision's already been made, and there's the information just needs to be clarified to the community, and what we need to do is actually just go and tell the community what exactly they could do, rather than fighting to try to save the hospital, which is already a done deal. What they need to do is actually go through and try to rebuild what's actually there and find the right fit for the community so that they don't lose out on the economic opportunities that the hospital provides.
Okay, all right. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. They're just your thoughts on these issues. So my first one is, what are your thoughts on policing in our community?
Well, you know what, policing, the community has a unique relationship with the police force. Some people believe that the police force is doing a great job. Some people don't have a great relationship with that. But what I think needs to be done is more communication and more interaction between the force and the community itself. So when you get to know the officers themselves, then you're more willing to accept what they're doing, and then you get to highlight on the force's side that what they're doing on behalf of the community, so that the information being transferred there, you don't think that there's nothing being done. You know what's out there and what they're trying to see, that they're actually doing a positive thing for the community. Obviously, there might be gaps where we can look into fixing, where community consultation and officer consultation as well, maybe forums that we can look into to try to fix these gaps. But overall, they're doing what they can, and they're trying to better the community.
Okay. In particular, around the policing, what are your thoughts around the misconduct or police brutality that has been cited within the community?
Well, I've seen or heard and been a part of many of these issues, and I haven't been part of the actual process, so I can't really say for sure what's being done. Mm-hmm. But it's all about communication, and if you can have communication with the proceedings and getting them more involved, then that's going to be better for the community in the long run. I can't really speculate, okay, this is what's being done, because I wasn't at the specific scenes of when they were happening. So passing blame is not the way that we should be addressing the situation. It's just trying to communicate with the law enforcement and trying to create a better atmosphere for change.
Okay. My next question is around arts and culture. What's your thoughts around arts and culture in our community?
I went to C.W. Jeffries, which was an art school, and art has always been a big part of my life. And I love painting and acting as well. I used to like doing that as well. And I believe that our community has great culture and lots of art here. And what we need to do is actually highlight many of these things so that the world can be aware of them. It's just an underutilization of the media that's here. We need to let everyone know how much culture we have here, and all those initiatives that are out there, promote them, get people involved. That's what I think about.
Okay. And what are your thoughts around employment and economic issues?
Well, employment, due to the last few years, the employment situation in our community in general has gone down because of the recession. The unskilled labor force took a big hit, and our community has probably one of the highest in the city in unskilled labor residents in here. Well, what we need to do is actually take advantage of this, because the government is offering so many programs such as Second Career, which helps those who are in need at this point get the education they require to reinvent themselves, to become more marketable to the employment community, and this is one of the things that we need to do to get involved. Get the people informed, find out these programs, and push them to the community. Most people don't know about them, and that's underutilized programs. That's one of the main problems in our community. It's just people don't know, and they need to know to take advantage.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on the TTC expenditure? It kind of goes into employment. It could create jobs. What would be your thoughts on opportunities for our community to access these jobs?
Well, it's a long time coming for the subway line to our community, and I think it creates that opportunity for a lot more people coming towards our community. But now we have to think, there's going to be subway stops here. We have to find a way to make the people want to stop in our community, to interact with our community, to spend their money in our community. And I was looking into programs available and initiatives being put out throughout the city. So I've been very interested in the business improvement areas, which is a collection of all the business owners working together to try to promote the community itself and try to improve the overall appearance of the community as a whole. And I think this would probably be the best choice for our community, as to bring in that crowd, to take advantage of, in 5 years when the subway expansion gets here, we should be ready. So we should create a business improvement area here to draw the people out of those subway stops and create more business in our community.
Okay. You touched on it earlier, the Save Our Schools campaign. So it is a small victory. We were able to hold on to our schools, and none of them will be sold. But they could come back. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't want to see any of our schools being closed. You know, the selling of any of these properties, it creates a disadvantage for those who took advantage of those schools. So if I have my child and my child is going to this school, now you close that school, I'll have to travel farther out. And if I have a job to go to, I have to take more time to take my student or my child to the alternative schools. This is going to affect my life, it's going to affect the lives of my children. That's not going to be a positive benefit for any of the students, and it's going to affect the community as a whole, and that's something that we shouldn't be looking into at all.
Absolutely. Okay. So we know there's a lot of issues within our schools in terms of dropout rates and certain things in place to kind of get our kids out of school, whether it's Safe Schools Act or other things that are in place, which is making it difficult for post-secondary dreams. What are your thoughts around education in terms of post-secondary?
Well, I believe that our community needs post-secondary education. Over 60% of, according to the census 2006, of the residents in our area only have at highest a high school education. That's more than 50% of our community. We need to get higher education, and our students need to be made aware of the programs available and what is out there to help them get their post-secondary education. If it's financial difficulties, we need to explore all the grants available and loans available for them so that they feel that it's more attainable. It's a lot of the students, they might not see post-secondary education as something in their future because of these factors. And if you make the opportunity available to them and you show them that they can do this, then more likely they will try to finish their school and pursue a post-secondary education.
Okay. And what are your thoughts around social housing?
Well, the social housing, there are a lot of issues in there, and too many for me to address it. But from what I've gathered from talking to the community, there's a lot of disrepair in there. But what I think is best is to look into how they utilize their resources. This is one of the major issues that I think needs to be addressed in the community as a whole, is just utilizing the resources available. If there's something wrong, they need to find the right channels to go about fixing that. And if there's not enough resources, we have to look into how to get the resources to fix specific issues, or how to go about doing the little things that they think, okay, well, this in our community housing is not good, and it's affecting all of us. How do we go about doing this? It's just information on the processes, how to get that going, and overall communication between the housing and the community itself.
Okay. There's a term that's out there, and it's been out there, gentrification, revitalization. So Jane and Finch is up next when it comes to gentrification. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, when the community was being built in the 70s, they had an idea of what would work best based on the experience at the time. And they believed that creating these self-enclosed communities would help create a greater bond within the community. But in doing so, it kind of excluded them from the outside and created these little like nests for where we can create terms ghettos. Mm-hmm. And any attempt to try to change this, that I would see it as something positive, as long as the residents that are there are properly taken care of. If they are not properly taken care of, then I do not support it at all, because we don't want to have anybody that's living there now taken out of their home, put into a different environment altogether, and then left out in the cold later on, and they're taken away from their families or their friends or the community in general. Mm-hmm. But if overall the change in the community will help the community open up to the world and create better atmosphere around the way they feel about where they live, then I'm definitely in support of it.
Okay. You touched on participating in the hospital coalition. Is there anything else you'd like to add around the healthcare issues?
Well, in terms of healthcare, it's there are a lot of things that need to be addressed, and many are the seniors in our community. They are experiencing many shortfalls in funding, and I've talked to certain people along my way, and they're on pension. They've paid for their housing, but their income is so low. And there's programs out there to help those that are in need. And if we make those programs available to them and let them know what these programs are, to help them stay active and keep doing what they do, and have the available healthcare come to them rather than them going to the system, then it'll create less backlog in terms of like the hospital, the wait times. Mm-hmm. These initiatives are great. I've been researching them in the last little while, and the initiatives are very, very promising, and to keeping independence in seniors are that's going to help out the community as well.
Absolutely. So poverty. There's a growing gap of disparity between rich and poor. What are your thoughts around the issues of poverty? When we're talking about poverty, that's accessing childcare. If a mom can't have quality childcare, how will she be able to work? We're talking about the cutbacks in social assistance. We're talking about the bigger scope of poverty. What are your thoughts? Especially knowing this community in the 70s started off mainly in middle class, and now we're looking at it where majority is living below the poverty line. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know what? Our community is one of the most disadvantaged in the city, and it comes from all the immigration here from all the different cultures, and it's the lack of information and utilization of the programs. Well, once the residents come here from wherever, and they're not able to get a job, then they fall into this needy category. And if the assistance programs are not utilized to help them get out of these situations, then we're going to have this growing gap. Mm-hmm. And education is one of the main things that will help this, and not just education in terms of schooling, but educations in terms of English learning programs and job fairs and any little programs that will help them integrate into the Canadian society to help them get settled. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that need to be addressed.
Okay. And what's your vision? What's your big vision for Jane and Finch, Ward 8?
Well, I believe that we can actually become one of the leaders in the city in terms of culture, because we have so much culture here. It's all about utilizing what we have here and promoting it to the world. I think media is one of the main things that we're lacking. We need leadership that's out there and marketing our community in a positive way. And what I want to do is actually try to create like a central database in which all the community groups and residents will have a place to send their information, and create kind of like a localized Toronto 311 for just our community, so that if somebody's looking for any positive information about our community, then they can come to that one point. And by doing this, we'll create an open communication with all the community groups, with the politicians themselves. That way, if they'll feel more comfortable because they're continuously communicating back and forth with the government. And in doing that, it not only helps out with the knowledge collection, but if say the news media is out there and they're looking for a positive story, they don't have to go looking individually to all these little places. They'll have a central point where they can find out all positive things that are coming out of this community, and that way we can have more positive things being promoted about our community. And if somebody doesn't do that, then our community is just going to be left with that stigma of negativity. And we're a really positive community, and it just needs to be amplified and utilized in a positive way.
Absolutely. You don't have to share what your thoughts are on this, but this upcoming elections, we're also voting in trustees. Is there anybody, either Catholic or both public and Catholic, that you're supporting, that you'd like to see occupy that seat?
Well, I'm not going to support any particular candidate because I'm not in the educational field, and the only one I actually know is Stephanie Payne because she was my trustee when I was going to school.
Yeah.
I don't know the platforms of each individual trustee, so I can't really say that I will go for one or the other. Definitely there needs to be some positive changes in our community in terms of schools. With our committee being created, this issue has become very, very prominent in our community. Drawing me into politics is one of the main things that it's done, and I don't want to get into that, but
Sure.
There definitely needs to be some changes.
Okay. So my next question is around the mayor. Is there any mayor that you feel comfortable in saying, okay, that's who I would like to see?
You know what? In terms of mayor, I'm not going to back any particular mayor because none of them really specify exactly what I want to see as a mayor. Each individual candidate has something that I think will benefit the community. Like Rob Ford has his transparency, which is one of the big things that I really support. Rocco Rossi, he's really good and he's done a lot of community service and he has a lot of experience in that way. But overall, I don't support anyone in their total platform.
Okay, that's fair enough. And yourself, what would be your platform, if you'd like to share that?
Well, you know what? I believe in education. This is the one thing that I think this community needs. Just letting everybody know what's available here. It's just utilization of information. There's so many things I've discovered on my path so far that's here, but nobody knows about it. I wouldn't know about it unless I was until I go out and I constantly look in these areas. So what I want to see is actually a more positive push to send all this information to the community so that they're aware. They don't have to look. It's just there for them. That's one of the main things. And my second thing is, the community safety, working with our police force, trying to break down the barriers, fill in the gaps. I want to see our community be more involved. And, when we get together and we interact more, we'll create a safer environment. Okay. And, employment. I want to see a BIA, a business improvement area here, because I've seen the positive benefits of it throughout the city. There's a taste of the Danforth. Every year, people go out to this. We can have something like that here. Bring out the people from all over the city to here because we have the culture to support that.
Absolutely. Okay.
And transparency, everything that I do, I want to make sure that everyone knows because the job of the councillor is very complex, but people don't know exactly what they do. So what I want to do is, if any question is asked of me, I want to post it on the website and have follow-ups with everything. So if there's a tree trimming that you believe is causing an issue, or there's a park that needs to be cleaned, I want to have that information posted and a follow-up every week or other week once there's updates so that the entire community will be aware of what one person thinks is important in the community. So that way, you'll see what's going on in the community. And if you want to interact, by all means, send an email, post a comment. That way, the whole community gets a chance to be involved. And community involvement is really what's going to progress our community as a whole.
All right. My final question, would you like to share your thoughts with your voting constituency to take with them on election day?
Well, I'm out here. I'm here. I'm from the community, and I believe in this community, and this is where all my loyalties lie. And I believe that together we can create a difference, and we have the means to do it. It's just utilizing the available resources. That's what we need to do, and nobody else is doing it. I'm here to do it, and hopefully you can come out and support, and we can get something done.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I really appreciate that.
It was awesome. It was really
time.
awesome.